Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Have the Lakers turned their back on LeBron James? Have they betrayed him? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, it's always free. It's never going to be behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show. We would encourage everybody, by the way, to make another Locked On show your second listen of every day, but only after making us your first. That is very, very important. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be one of the almost 10,000 people now that are driving that channel. It's a lot of fun over there. A lot of angry people right now. So if you need somewhere to vent, it's as good a place as any, that's for sure. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Andy, I noted on Monday's show that the Lakers fans are not happy, I think it's fair to say, with Jeannie Buss currently, and we had some evidence of that over the weekend, which we will talk about today. The Lakers, the Lakers. I mean, social media can be a tough place anyway, but even by like social media fans, this is pretty woof. And the Lakers kicking off the next part of their road trip, the Florida swing of their road trip. They are in Orlando today and Miami tomorrow. So we'll try to talk a little bit about those games. But let's start here, Andy. Have the Lakers betrayed LeBron James, turned their back on him, lied to him after promising something bigger than what they've been able to get him? That's kind of the conversation that people are having right now, based on a little bit on some comments LeBron has made about the roster, people kind of looking back and wondering when or if the Lakers are going to make a trade. And it goes back to Rob Pelinka's comments in training camp after the James extension, one more year for the Lakers plus an option, when he said, we're going to do whatever we can. We owe it to LeBron to preserve his legacy. And
yeah, I mean, there's been two pieces that came out today, one from Jovan Buha from The Athletic, the other from Kyle Goon, the Orange County Register. Both of them cover the Lakers very well, travel the team extremely well, plugged into what's going on with them. And they're presenting the question of basically, is LeBron being wasted this season? Is this yet another wasted season for LeBron?
Right, wasted Lakers this season after being wasted last season.
And some might argue wasted the first season LeBron was with the Lakers, although that was something of you have to expect it to be a little bit turbulent because they were figuring out how LeBron would work with a bunch of promising but very unproven young talent.
Right.
And, the question of whether or not they should be making a deal right now, do they owe it to LeBron to be making a deal right now? And what I find interesting about this is it's really a conversation about, A, how the Lakers are taking care of LeBron, but also, two, how well run the Lakers actually are. Like in terms of the moves that they've made leading up to this point, which is currently 13-20 and not looking like there is any easy or maybe even medium difficult road out of it. But also, too, just what is really owed, for lack of a better word, to a superstar. A superstar, particularly when you are the Lakers, that has made their entire franchise identity about collecting and then presumably catering to those stars. Like, is it possible that the Lakers, as badly run as we've seen them over the last several years, even with a championship in 2020, is it possible that they can be making mistakes while still perhaps not turning their backs on LeBron, so to speak?
Well, yeah, and like
are these totally connected, perhaps mutually exclusive, like anything like
But
that.
I mean, a lot of this is based on the concept of inaction. The fact that they, there's, I mean, well, that's not. I mean, there's a lot to this, and like, to your point about being addicted to stars. I mean, part of the reason that everybody's in the predicament that we're in right now is because they traded for Russell Westbrook. Like at the core of the issue currently is the Westbrook deal. It is the root of the roster problems. It is the root of their lack of assets. They have issues that predate it, trends that aren't necessarily comforting, but that is a shining neon reminder of the how the Lakers tend to operate.
And the one thing that we know is a shared failure. Like, there are other things that you can specifically look and say, that is Rob Pelinka and whoever is his closest advisors.
Mm-hmm.
That is their failure, because that is not something that you would be consulting LeBron
No,
on.
it's not LeBron's job to make sure they give Austin Reeves a 3-year contract.
Right.
Like, that's not his deal.
It is Clutch's job to tell you who to spend the mid-level on.
Right, but that's
even then, I'm not putting that on LeBron.
No.
That's more LeBron adjacent. But
it is. But I know where you're going with this, and like I agree with you. LeBron shares some responsibility for the Westbrook deal. There's no question.
He absolutely does.
They'll give more of it to Rob and
absolutely,
ultimately Jeannie, because they can say no. You are allowed to say no,
assuming they wanted to say no.
They didn't want to say no. Everybody was on board.
Right.
Everybody was on board,
which
you have laid out in incredible and scathing detail.
If Rob heard this from LeBron and Anthony Davis that they wanted Russell Westbrook, and Rob's like, the F4, man, why? Like that's clearly a terrible idea. He goes to Jeannie, says, look, LeBron and AD want to make this Russ deal. I'm telling you, this is a bad idea for X, Y, and Z. But ultimately, Jeannie and Rob decide we can't tell them no, so we do it anyway. That is worse than them just misevaluating it. Like, there were a lot of obvious risks to it, but all front offices, even the best ones, make mistakes at time. But to make a mistake for the right reasons, that's better than making it for the wrong reasons.
This question about wasting LeBron, to me, is kind of broken up into different areas. I mean, the most relevant, and we'll get to this in a second, is based on this season. Are you the inaction that the Lakers have shown through the summer, into the regular season, and currently, where they haven't made the only move really was the Pat Bev move. Hasn't panned out. I was on board when they did it. I don't think this team would be no better with Taylor Horton Tucker.
No, Taylor Horton Tucker's not playing particularly well in Utah.
Right. So I don't think that was a trade that made sense. It was one that and it's at the margins. But broadly, have they wasted LeBron? I think it is fair to say yes, in the sense that the LeBron James era in LA has currently not, and doesn't look like it's going to have the level of success that I think people hoped, of sustained success. They've got one championship, and that is incredibly hard to get, cannot be discounted. All of that stuff, which we've said over and over and over again. Like, we don't put any caveats on that.
No.
But I think if you told people that, let's say LeBron James is going to be here for 6 years, we'll call it, and you're going to win one title and go to the playoffs twice.
Counting the title run.
Right, counting the title run. Would you consider that successful? I think people would be like, wait a minute, we're going to flat miss the playoffs?
Actually, I think their response would have been, well, I guess we never got Anthony Davis, huh?
Must be. Everybody would have thought 2 playoffs appearances, and we'll call it, a hypothetical 6 years for LeBron, 5 years. I mean, this is year 5, correct?
This is year 5.
I'm really bad at remembering numbers, but like it's doesn't look like it's going to be more than 2 in 5 years. Next year is looking real dicey currently, but even just 2 in 5 years, the first 5 years of LeBron James, 2 playoff appearances would be considered a failure. The 2 parts I think that you get to for, are they wasting him and what do they owe him, are related to what they're doing right now, the inaction of right now. And I think we both have some pretty strong feelings about this concept of what the Lakers owe LeBron and why people frame it this way. So we'll do it next.
Locked on Lakers brought to you by Prize Picks. Laker fans, have you signed up yet for Prize Picks? This is daily fantasy made easy. Prize Picks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. Prize Picks offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator. Superstar players, bench players, just pick 2 to 5 players and predict whether they will notch more or less than their Prize Picks stats projections. And Prize Picks offers projections on everything from NFL to women's college basketball to even disc golf. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. They offer safe, fast withdrawals. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com. Sign up, play daily fantasy sports, and first-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. But again, don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at the sign-up for the instant match. If you're not playing PrizePicks, you don't know what you're missing.
So I think that, there are two things, Andy, and tell me if you disagree, that are playing into this idea that the Lakers are, why aren't they doing anything? Why aren't they helping LeBron? Why aren't they doing this? And there's the first one is Rob said we're going to do whatever we can to make LeBron, his legacy as rich as it can. We owe it to him. He's committed to us. And the second is they always do this. Like this, the Lakers are star addicted. And I have one more, but I want to start with those two. Is that contextually, is that kind of what you think sort of frames what we're talking about? Rob's comments, Lakers history, and that sort of just expectation that, of course, the Lakers are always in win now mode.
Well, it's that they're always in win now mode. They've created this and projected this ethos that for a while was very well, I think, deserved and logical, which is that they are always playing for championships, which is a great mantra and galvanizing cry for your fans. But depending on how literally you take it, I think it actually can be a very trapping way to run your organization. I think it can place really big limits on you when you look to be, as I call it, cosplaying competitiveness or faux competitiveness, when you are trying to make yourself as close to elite as possible as your first and last option, when in reality, you're not close to elite. But I think the other thing too is there has been this expectation over the course of LeBron's career, very well founded in evidence, that when you have LeBron on your team, you are always in the all-in business. Our friend George Sedano at 710 ESPN obviously does all the national NBA stuff for ESPN and covered LeBron in Miami. He talks about this all the time, about how you go into this with the expectation that LeBron is going to bleed you of all of your assets with his demands to try to keep the team as great as possible. But in return, you will have sustained deep playoff runs, if not championships, to show for it. And that's just the tacit agreement that everybody gets on board with. So I think that part of it lends into the narrative as well.
And I'll do one more thing before we go into, 'cause I don't think we have to tell people, like, you and I are not fans of Rob Pelinka. You have been as critical of Genie, going back a fairly longer. You were critical of Genie before it was fashionable.
I used to say pretty regularly, I'm not saying that I don't understand Genie's lack of trust in Jim. I just think Genie isn't helping.
I do think, though, there's an element here of kind of almost trying to goad the Lakers into doing more stupid things. There is the Lakers move the needle. The Lakers making trades moves the needle. The Lakers having drama moves the needle. And I think most basketball analysts out there would say, wait a minute, are the Lakers really Buddy Hield and Miles Turner away from contention? Probably. Are they Bojan Bogdanovic away from contention? Like, not really. Not with Anthony Davis, his health, all, as a major question, all that stuff. But I do think that, they're in some areas of NBA media, Lakers fans, whatever it is, there's this sort of hope that they do something, make a trade because you get the sugar rush of seeing what happens and the news of it. And then you get to pile on when it doesn't work and they do something stupid.
That might be a little bit of projection
Maybe
on your part.
It might be, but I'll say this. I happen to think that right now, especially the Lakers, especially given that I don't think that there's much out there to do. If you want Bojan Bogdanovic today, you have to overpay the hell to get, just like,
That's
it's not going to be
true.
just an unprotected first round pick or a protected first round pick. You're gonna have to start really overpaying because the Pistons have no incentive. They're losing plenty of games with Bogdanovic. They don't need to hurry. The Pacers,
he's their best player. He can't get any better than their best.
Right. I mean, the Pacers have already played themselves out of the Wembanyama high lottery sweepstakes. They already have. They're not in any, major hurry to make a deal. Lakers could have maybe done that before the season started. Totally separate conversation.
I recommended they do it.
You did. And so, because I think the Lakers might be smart for waiting right now, because I don't think what's out there is very good, that doesn't mean they're good at what they do. It doesn't mean that I think even for a second that they're competent enough to be the group that, whether it is navigating them through a difficult offseason where you continue to build around LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the picks and the cap space and flexibility to do a few different types of things, it might be easier in the summer. I have zero faith that these people can pull this off. And if they really do the really hard thing, which is say, you know what, we got to trade Anthony Davis, we're going to trade LeBron James and really start over, I have even less faith that they can do that. So like a sustained long rebuild, forget about it.
I tweeted this out earlier today at Cam Brothers, and at the risk of sounding totally full of myself by quoting myself, I actually think this is a pretty good summary.
Allow myself to quote myself.
There is a world in which the Lakers made a series of bad decisions leading us here. They are nonetheless correct that at 13-20 with AD out indefinitely, there's currently no deal out there worth making. Being correct about this one matter doesn't make the team any less poorly run.
That is very well put.
Yeah. I mean, saying that, because I think there is at times, whether from fans or even some media, a reluctance to concede the idea that this front office is actually correct, that the options currently in front of them, contextually with where they are now, again, 13-20 with AD out, a stress injury, whatever the hell that means, indefinitely.
And right. To be reevaluated when it's appropriate.
Yeah. Like, there is.
Bleep does that even mean?
I don't think it's out of the question that they are actually correct.
It is likely the answer.
Right. But I say that out of the question just because I think there are a lot of Laker fans and some media, and maybe even LeBron himself, who finds it hard to believe that they are actually correct about this. They may
LeBron doesn't care. LeBron doesn't care if they do something that torches their chances to be competitive for 5 years. He's not going to be here in 5 years.
No, but I'm saying LeBron may be wrong about the idea that it could help him now. Sure. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm not even sure they're right for the right reasons. I think it was last week we did a show where I am fairly, I don't want to say convinced, but I have an inclination at thinking that part of one of the reasons that they're holding out hope is because they are steeped in magical thinking over there, that if they just wait long enough, the perfect deal, the superstar deal, one of these things is going to fall into their lap. And for God's sakes, if they really do, like there could be no ending to this tale that is more Lakery than the Lakers, quote unquote, getting out of this situation by acquiring Bradley Beal. Like, that would be the most like Grimm's fairy tales, the main character has learned nothing. Like nobody, it would be perfect. Nobody is learning a lesson here, and they become a cautionary tale forever because he signed for the next 282 years at $400 million a year. Like, it is ridiculous, and he's always hurt. So we haven't gotten to it yet, and I want to ask you, and then we'll make sure we get to this Genie thing before we're done. We've talked about whether the Lakers are correct in their thinking, whether they're correct for the right reasons, whether they're smart at what they do or not. By inaction is the right thing for now. What do they actually owe LeBron James? That's next.
Locked On Lakers brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds, trends for every professional amateur league out there, from football to basketball. It's now bowl season. You still got your esports, and they've got it all at BetOnline.net. And bonus, if you love sports podcasts, which of course you do, you're listening to, dare I say, the best one out there right now. You can find other very good, if not quite as good at this one, sports podcasts at BetOnline as well.
Adequate podcasts.
Yeah, they're A minus level. They're just not A, straight A or A plus. Always they're A. They're A. They're just not A plus like us. Always the fastest, easiest way to get your betting fix. We just lost them as a sponsor. Head to the website today or use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
All right. So Andy, what do the Lakers owe LeBron? Ultimately, when it's all said and done here.
What's he making, like $40-something million? I mean, that's truly what they owe LeBron.
To quote the great Don Draper,
that's what the money
is for. Yeah.
I mean, I think they owe it to LeBron not to intentionally jerk him around. And if they are actively lying to LeBron's face about plans that they have absolutely no intention of ever pursuing, much less upholding, that would be a betrayal of what they owe LeBron, because they owe LeBron professionalism and some degree of honesty, even acknowledging that professional sports is a cesspool of lying. Mm-hmm. Like and look, everybody in a certain way F's over everyone else.
Sure. Yeah.
They owe LeBron that. But the idea that they owe it to LeBron to knowingly light their assets on fire for the sake of performatively looking like they're doing whatever it takes to be competitive for him, no, they don't owe him that, especially when, frankly, he extended his time with the Lakers, having lived through last season.
Well, I mean, the counter to that is he extended, and therefore that's one of the reasons they owe him. He showed faith and commitment to the Lakers, but I mean, it's nice. He only extended by a year. He gave them one more year with the option of staying.
You know what he gave them? He gave them the same fake extension that the Lakers gave Frank Vogel.
Yes.
Two can play at this game.
And do you know why he gave them a year with the option of a second one? Because it was convenient for him. Mm-hmm. And he really didn't have anywhere else to go. And so that's why this idea that LeBron is still in a place where he can just hold franchises for ransom, it's just not true anymore. It's not the league that he is in anymore. It's not the league the Lakers are in anymore. And so this was an extension of convenience. He likes it here being Los Angeles. His family likes it here. He's too old, as he has said, to be away from. He doesn't want his family in LA while he's in, Philly trying to win a title. Like, that is not something that 38-year-old LeBron James with 5 titles and about to pass Kareem on the what?
4 titles.
4 titles, right? I'm anticipating one for this year. 4 titles and about to pass Kareem on the all-time points list. That is not a place that he needs to be. Like, he wants to be around his family in a place he's comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, for F's sake, look at the state of the organization when LeBron joined it. I mean, like he's been here now going on 5 years. There's never been a time, like a sustained period, where
Nope.
it has felt really well run.
LeBron hasn't made some sort of grand, blood pact with the Lakers. I mean, and Rob is just, I don't know if, of course, he's going to say it in training camp. They're going to do whatever they can to preserve LeBron's legacy, and they owe it to him. And all. What the hell else is he going to say?
Well, he also didn't expect them to be 2-10 after the first 12 games.
No, which is a failure of his own vision, but that's not the point. But
right, but that changes the context of doing whatever it takes.
Right. And so, and all of this is, by the way, the mood around the franchise, the mood around it is reflective of the state of Lakers fans. Over the weekend, Jeannie Buss tweeted, "Thank you, Shaq. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. The flowers are beautiful." It's a picture of flowers and like a little card from Shaq to Jeannie.
Handwritten.
The flowers are beautiful. Congratulations on all the money raised by the event for the Shaquille O'Neal Foundation at Shaq Foundation. We'll shout out to get people over to that organization. Everyone should join us October 7th, 2023 in Las Vegas. Shaq always brings in megastars. So Jeannie,
just like the Lakers.
Right. Shaq is going to trade for Russell Westbrook just for this benefit. So Jeannie just very innocently and trying to say thanks to Shaq for doing something nice. Not a basketball related thing whatsoever. Fans, it should be said, did not react well to that tweet.
Yeah, and someone noted that Jeannie turned her replies off, and Jeannie responded to that. "You can still post whatever you want about me. I'm trying to highlight the good work the Shaquille O'Neal Foundation is doing. And if you're going to trash me, please separate it from the good work the foundation is doing," to which people did not honor
like
that
request.
request.
No.
The replies to this, I think you agree with me, very reasonable request from Jeannie, because as much as Twitter is the wild, wild west and a cesspool, and Jeannie knows this as well as anybody because she's very public on Twitter, the reality is you really don't want something like Shaq's foundation that does very good work.
To sort of added.
To end up catching fire and possibly,
there's an intern on the other end of this trying to sift through their tweets that day, and they're can we please turn off our notifications?
Right, but some of the responses to Jeannie's request are: "Fire Pelinka and sell the team. Glad you are obviously aware of what the fans think. The Lakers are an embarrassment. You're being a cheap but the most popular team in the league. It's shameful. Why don't you hire a real GM, president of basketball operations? Please do your father a favor. Dr. Buss up in heaven crying right now. Sell the team." And
those are the ones you can read.
Yeah.
There were not a lot of hang in there, Jeannie. Nobody sending the cat on the poster. Got your back, Jeannie. Hey, still love you.
And again, Jeannie's
a lot of people going into and while I'm here, I got opinions on your engagement. But the point of this is people are not just angry. I think there's a dwindling sense of hope.
The last thing, though, I would say on this in terms of the question of what is owed to LeBron, which is connected to what is going on right now with the Lakers, another factor that's complicating this is that LeBron is still a great player, and he's still playing at a high level, but he is no longer the guy that is the ultimate problem solver, which he used to be. He used to be the guy that you put him on your team and 90 to 95% of your problems are solved by definition of him being there. And as long as you don't screw up the other 5 to 10% too much, he's going to take care of the rest. These days, the supporting cast is not being lifted by LeBron. It's more about lifting LeBron. LeBron needs more help from that supporting cast than he
certainly than he used to. Yeah.
Right. But that in part complicates the calculus on what you do when you have currently two guys who are still considered superstars, one of whom is hurt all the time, and the other one is almost 38, entering season 20, still playing at a high level, but he's not a bulletproof cyborg anymore. That change that complicates this in ways that I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. If sometimes you mentioned before, like media, for lack of a better way of putting it, motives or whatever. Maybe this is me projecting onto other people. Sometimes I think people are reluctant to say this with LeBron because they're worried about him, just absolutely turning it on for 30 games, leading a deep playoff run, and then all of a sudden you end up on frozen takes, or like people have the receipts of you saying this, because LeBron really has been doubt him at your own peril. So I get all that, and so it's clear, still playing at a high level, not hashtag wash king, not any of that, but he is not that same guy anymore. So the calculus of who you put around him becomes more complicated and harder to make work.
And I also think it's just a different league. I think the league is at a place now where it is much more difficult for one guy to elevate a team in that way, where if you just have that guy, I think it's harder for one guy to do that, period. Certainly harder for a 38-year-old with that kind of mileage.
Yeah. It's no shame. No 38-year-old should be doing that.
He got off to a kind of a slower start by his standards, especially. He's playing at an elite level right now. He's been
You shouldn't
great.
be expecting your 38-year-old to be doing that.
Right. And then that makes it harder for them to figure out what to do. The fact that everything is short term makes it really hard to figure out what to do. The fact that they can't rebuild in a traditional way because they don't control enough of their own picks makes it really hard.
They don't want to,
maybe, but like that too. Well, that goes back to what you were saying earlier in the show about like the Lakers are always supposed to do it this way. And I think this notion of like the Lakers, when have you ever heard the Lakers not play for right now? It's like, well, sometimes it's not smart to play for right now. And just because they've always done it that way, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there's this breathlessness sometimes of, oh my God, what's wrong with the Lakers? They're not playing for the today championship. Are they betraying their history? That is, I think, designed to kind of play into this history and play into this sort of pressure and narrative and storyline that is so important to being the Lakers and taking care of your stars. And that's what I'm talking about when I say some of these things. They're kind of screwed. They have to figure out how to do this in the smartest way possible. And I don't think there are a lot of really good answers. And to some degree, that we're in that, Infinity War moment where like Doctor Strange holds up his finger and he's like, there's one path and like a billion and whatever infinite universes. There's like one that they can choose if this works out well. And Rob Pelinka is the GM to try to get them there. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you go to see the podcast and vent and join a great community. We'll see everybody after the Orlando game on Tuesday.